Thank you all for having me today. It's such an honor to be here. To kind of play off of the ninja philosophy a little bit, most of you have probably heard of the book, The Go-Giver. Hopefully most of you have read it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. But what I want to talk to you today is about the law of value. The law of value states that your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. I got my start pretty early in real estate, and fresh out of college, I worked as an assistant for a top producing agent in another market. She grossed over $1 million in commissions a year and did over 85 transactions a year. I was making pretty good money for a 22-year-old, and I thought I had it made. Over the course of the next 11 months, I watched her work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I don't think she had taken a vacation in over 3 years. I also watched her destroy her marriage. Learning that lesson so early on, I vowed to myself that I would not sacrifice my personal relationships for my business. Little did I know that this one philosophy would become the foundation of my business and the reason that my clients respect me as a friend, a wife, a mother, a colleague, and of course, as their realtor. There is no such thing as work-life balance in this industry, especially if you're new. So how do you do it and not work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, risk ruining your marriage or having your children resent you? I'd like to introduce harmony. Harmony is lovely, harmony is sweet. As the ancient philosopher Sallust once said, harmony makes small things grow, lack of it makes great things decay. Small things like a business, great things like a marriage. Harmony is also subtle and sly. Harmony is easily missed if you're not watching for it. A while ago, I was at a swim lesson watching my son flit around with 4 other 4-year-olds. It was adorable, but to be perfectly honest, I didn't really want to be there. I was tired, trying to figure out how I was going to get home to get dinner on the table before my children turned into the possessed little demons that they do when you don't feed them for like 5 minutes. I knew that there was going to be an argument over whether or not they could have goldfish on the way home. I also still had to pick up my daughter from daycare, and all the while I needed to write an offer that had a deadline of 7 p.m. that night. Frankly, I just wanted to burst into tears and have a giant glass of wine. While I was sitting there at that swim lesson, one of the moms started to chat me up. So I plastered a smile on my face and pretended that I wanted to talk to her too. About 5 minutes into the conversation, I started to relax and enjoy the conversation with a woman whose son was just 4 months older than mine and was also named Max. Come to find out, we had more in common than can possibly be a coincidence. We both went to Oregon State at the same time, we were in a sorority, and we actually have mutual, very good friends. Week after week, we would sit by the pool and talk. I didn't realize at that time that I was building a relationship that was not only enjoyable, but that I would soon have a new client. I can't help but talk about real estate when I'm with my family, my friends, and even strangers. I'm excited about real estate, and it embodies me. I have weaved it into every facet of my life. I also can't help but talk about my family to my colleagues and my clients. Some would say I've harmonized real estate and my life. This is an example of how I've incorporated my kiddos and my family into my business. I sent this out a couple of Thanksgivings ago, and I will tell you I had more people call and email based on that one mailing alone than I ever have before. So when talking to this mom by the pool, naturally, the conversation shifted to real estate. I found out she and her husband were thinking about moving closer to where their daughter went to school, and the next thing I know, we're all over at my house having a buyer's consultation while the kids were having a play date. Had I not raised my head from my phone that day and plastered that smile on my face, I would have missed out on a real estate transaction, but more importantly, I would have missed out on what is now a very good friend. See, there is no room for work-life separation, only harmony. I have a dozen more stories just like this one. Don't worry, I won't tell you them all. But for instance, I do have another one I want to share. When my son was 2 and I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter, my dear friends brought me takeout dinner. I was so tired, and I watched enviously as they drank delicious wine, as I silently sipped my seltzer water and stewed. I know, all my stories start out with how tired I am and how much wine I want to be drinking. I guess it's a good thing I'm not talking to you today about self-control. Anyways, I was very grateful for my friends to bring dinner. And as the night went on, they brought up their 2 homes that they have had rented out, that they had purchased previously to their relationship. They were thinking about selling them to buy something bigger that they could live in together. And I asked them a few questions about where those homes were and how much they owed and what they were being rented for. And I realized that they had 2 wonderful assets in highly desirable areas of Portland. I told them that I would kill for cash flowing rentals in great areas and that they should really consider keeping those properties. So after they did a little planning and talked with their mortgage broker and financial planners, they did just that. What, you might be saying? I just talked myself out of 2 wonderful listings? You're right, I didn't get either of those listings. But what I did do was I thought about my friends and their long-term potential with those homes. Since that conversation 3 years ago, that same couple has purchased 2 rentals and a primary residence. I have also helped their mom buy a triplex, and I cannot tell you how many times they have passed my name along to people in their world. Every time they see me, they thank me for that conversation 3 years ago. So yes, I gave up 2 transactions in exchange, but what I got in exchange was the exponential possibility through the value that I had offered them that night. They are forever grateful, and I am grateful to them. It's harmony, my friends. What started as a mundane dinner turned into a plan to achieve dreams. Dreams like college for their now 1-year-old, or possible retirement much sooner than if we had not had that conversation. Their net worth has also tripled since then. Create value, give harmony. But here's the deal. People have to know what you do. So many folks say, I don't want to sell to my friends. I have to tell you, I am absolutely terrified that one of my friends is going to connect up with another realtor. The bar in our industry is so low that I know that nobody is going to take care of them as well as I would. When I first started, I went into every Tupperware party, baby shower, book club, you name it. Anything I was invited to, I went to it. I'm pretty sure I still have a box of votive candles from all the party-like parties that I went to. But when I was there, I listened for opportunities to solve people's problems or to add value to their lives in genuine, authentic ways. I'm not a salesperson, I'm a problem solver. The friendships followed, as did the business. Can you add value to people's lives that you don't know well, that you met at an open house or picked up off of Zillow? Yeah, absolutely, and it's a pretty great strategy. Can you have harmony in your life and incorporate your work with personal? Definitely. But if you can put those 2 together into the same package, you will have forever loyal followers that will continue to enrich your life and your business. The possibilities of the 2 is exponential. I'm going to leave you with one last story. I have a group of friends that meets weekly on Monday nights. We're celebrating 10 years of Monday night dinners this year. And it started as a group of single friends that got together to watch some reality TV show. I can't even remember, or maybe I just don't want to tell you. But this group was my saving grace. I don't know if a lot of you know, but my husband we used to work a lot of nights, so I was on my own with the kids. And this Monday night dinner group was my saving grace. When I just needed someone to hold my 5-month-old son so I could eat a meal sitting down. They were my saving grace when I was 39 weeks pregnant with my second, and I had a 2-year-old that I couldn't pick out because I was like literally out to here. They would give him a bath so that I didn't have to when I got home. They walked my dog and sent over a house cleaner when I was in a terrible car accident 4 years ago. And they were the highlight of my year when we all vacationed in Mexico together last month. These people are not just my friends, but you guys, they are my family. They are my kids' village. And guess what? They are directly responsible for over 12 transactions alone last year in my business. People tell me that I must work all the time, and the reality is, I do. This is a picture that a friend posted on Facebook during a snowstorm. The sign company couldn't get out there, so I have my J.K. sign there. Those are her kids, not mine, but it just shows how Facebook, and I incorporate personal and professional there. There's a saying by another ancient philosopher, Lawrence Purcell Jacks, that the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he is always doing both. And to me, That is the definition of harmony.